This is the LarryInFishers.com podcast. I'm Larry Lannon, and today we're going to talk about an event coming up on June 19th. We're recording this on the 13th of June, and on Thursday, the 19th, it is the Juneteenth celebration. Juneteenth, of course, is the 19th of June, just happens to be a Thursday this year. It will be held as it was last couple of years at Conner Prairie. Admission to this event is free. I want to introduce all of my guests who will be all members of the Future Black Leaders Club. Jaden Rucker is just graduated. He's the exiting president of the Future Black Leaders. He's been a student organizer for this Juneteenth third year, and he'll be going to the University of Southern California. We'll talk to him more about that. Chandler Phillips is going to be a senior communications and social media chair for the club and a student organizer. Maui Aregbe is the incoming co-president for the club and a student organizer, and Gianna Fowler will be a senior coming up and is an incoming co-president for the Future Black Leaders Club and a student organizer. So to all of you, thank you so much for taking time out. I know it's a busy time. You're organizing this event, which is just days away. So each have, if you don't have anything to say, it's fine. Just let me know. But I think I want to try to give each of you a chance to discuss all these various questions that I have. The first one I have is just this whole idea of June 19th as a significant and important date going back to 1865 in American history. I'd like each of you to talk about that. And Jaden, I'm going to ask you to start.
Yeah, so I know just kind of covering the history of Juneteenth, it kind of comes from after the Emancipation Proclamation, around 2 years after that, in Texas. That's when they found out that they were actually going to be free slaves. They didn't have that information passed on to them until those 2 years following. And so I think Juneteenth is just kind of the celebration of that freedom, and that kind of new discovery and that next step for my people. So that's kind of that's the inspiration I've always taken out of the event. And so I know it definitely means a lot.
And Chandler, any thoughts along those lines?
Yeah, so I think Jaden covered a lot of the history of the event, but I also would like to add that it's also a time of celebration for us currently. It's a time to remember the stuff that we endured as a people, but then also just a time of reflection, and then also just a moment where we can think about what's to come for our future, especially in the times that we are as a society.
Maui, do you have any thoughts along those lines?
Yeah, so I think Juneteenth has I think Jaden and Chandler covered majority of the history of Juneteenth, but also how it's a present day celebration to celebrate finding out and basically just the freeing of all Black people.
Very good. And Gianna, anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I think it's so important that we're continuing even today celebrating this because I know back during the civil rights movement, Juneteenth kind of faded out as a celebration because of everything that was happening. So there weren't many people celebrating it. And so for it to be like picked up back again and for it to become a federal holiday and then like state holidays and for us to be celebrating it today and creating an event based off it is just really important. And it shows the resilience that this celebration and that this people have had over the years.
You know, President Biden signed the federal holiday for Juneteenth on June 17th in 2021. Now, I worked 28 years for the federal government, and signing something into law 2 days before it's supposed to happen, it's almost impossible to get it implemented that quickly. But I have to give President Biden and his staff tremendous credit because he signed that into law, and 2 days later, that was implemented as a federal holiday. Federal employees were given that day off. It has been an official holiday ever since 2021. So let me go back to Gianna. Just how important do you think that was as a message from President Biden at that time?
I think it's really important because previously in Texas, it was a state holiday. It became one in 1980. And then some other states kind of had it as like a day of recognition. But for it to become like a federal holiday where everybody celebrates it, it's just a testimony to like what African Americans have worked for. And it just shows how we've moved from the Emancipation Proclamation all the way to now, or to 2020, 2021, was it? Yeah. And just seeing the progress that has been made and being able to celebrate it as federally is just, it's such a big thing and it's really special.
Yeah, Chandler, what was your reaction when you found out that the federal government worked so quickly to get this implemented really in just 2 days' time?
Well, honestly, I was very surprised because, like you said, 2 days is a very short amount of time. But like Gianna said in her statement, I think it does show the progress that we have made and the progress to come because there's still so much that we have to do to continue to improve our country, especially on a federal level. But I do think that him making it a federal holiday definitely made some changes and definitely made some movement as far as our country.
So, Jaden, anything to add to all that?
Yeah, I know for me, it's just been really kind of cool to see a lot of the awareness that the holiday has gotten now that it's a federal holiday. Just in kind of some of the initiatives we've had in just kind of promoting our event and the marketing of our event. There was one time this past weekend that we went to the Fisher's Farmers Market, and promoted our event, and we just heard from a lot of people that they kind of, now they have that day off. So it really kind of frames our celebration well, as well, because people have that day off because of the federal holiday. So they're able to kind of participate in things that embrace that holiday and that kind of continue to show the celebration of it. So I think it has blasted that holiday and just a lot of the awareness of the event to a lot of people that might not have known about it. So I think that's really great.
And I think this, looking at the history, and I'm kind of an amateur historian, I love to read books about history. This, I think you'd have to describe this as an Emancipation Day for African Americans, because this celebrates the fact that the final group of slaves were notified that they were now free. Remember, 1863 was the Emancipation Proclamation. Well, the Civil War was still going on, and word traveled slowly in those days, as you would imagine. And these people in Galveston, Texas, who had been enslaved, were notified when Union troops finally got to Galveston, Texas, and notified them that, hey, you have been freed. You are no longer slaves as of today. So, Chandler, talk about, just with that as the background, the importance of celebrating that moment.
Yeah, so I think with that, people don't often talk about that part of the history. I know in schools they talk about the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment and things of that nature, but they never talk about how 2 years afterwards, the slaves actually realized they were free post-Civil War, and the 13th Amendment wasn't even put into action until December, I think, of 1865. So nobody really talks about that. So now that we actually have this as a federal holiday and it's finally getting the recognition that it deserves, I think it's a great opportunity for people to really educate themselves upon this part of history that isn't being actively taught and talked about in schools.
Maui, I'm 73 years old, so the civil rights movement was going on when I was in school, for the most part, as high school. And I do think that education is just now coming around to realize that this is an important date in history. Talk about that.
Yeah, so I just recently took a U.S. history class, and I noticed that there wasn't a lot of talk about Juneteenth specifically. I know that I am very educated on the topic, but I know that there are many people in schools around me that aren't very educated on Juneteenth. And I think that as a whole, we can do a lot better at implementing Juneteenth into school education. We talk a lot about the Emancipation Proclamation, we talk a lot about the Civil War, but we don't really talk about how it took so long, 2 years, it took so long for slaves to really finally realize and come to the realization that they are free.
So, Gianna, any thoughts about this as an important day in American history?
Yeah, I know, especially in my history classes, a lot of people sometimes confuse the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment. The Emancipation Proclamation being that the 13 states or the enslaved people in the Confederate States were free. That was 1863, where 1865, that was when the 13th Amendment got passed, which abolished slavery entirely. So that's when everybody genuinely became free. And so, yeah, I think it's just an important date to recognize and understand because that had been going on for years before. And for that part of enslaved Africans' lives to finally like stop or like basically be abolished is such a big thing, especially where we're at right now and what came with the civil rights movement. I just think that literally laid the groundwork for like years of just change that would come and protesting and different movements and speaking up. So, yeah, I think it's really important.
So, Jaden, do you think history, as far as the way it's being taught in school, is just not coming around to understanding the importance of this day?
Well, yeah, I know. Obviously, with just leaving high school, I kind of know that there's a lot of topics that need to get covered in high school, and I definitely know that there's been recent debate over kind of critical race theory and things that just kind of touch more into some of those harsher, topics of history, and I think it's important to identify those and to definitely educate students about them so that we don't, in a sense, repeat history just out of not knowing it. So I think that including, vital history, like kind of what led up to, you know, slavery and what kind of helped it kind of egg on and why the abolishment of slavery and why those slaves finding out that they were free on Juneteenth was such an important day. I do think that's important to educate people on. And I do think that our school systems maybe need to do a little bit of a better job just kind of sourcing reliable information for those kind of events so that they're not as, you know, differing to people's beliefs and that they're just actually the true history.
Let me stay with you, Jaden, because I want to talk about your plans as a club for the Juneteenth celebration here in Fishers. Conner Prairie is providing the grounds for that, but it's not only hosting the celebration itself, it's offering free admission to the grounds. I don't do that every day as a way to celebrating Juneteenth to honor that holiday. So I think that sends an important message, does it not?
Yeah, I think that in addition to just using the grounds, honestly, for us, Conner Prairie, just letting us kind of use the grounds to hold our event is enough kind of showcase of their support. And as you mentioned previously, this is, my third year working on this event. I think every year I've worked on it, we've worked with Conner Prairie. So they've always just had outstanding support for what we want to accomplish with our event, what we stand for just with our club. So I've always felt that support really showed through. And in addition, having the park open kind of shows that that support exists outside of just kind of what they can get out of it. Because, obviously that's going to have some good press and there's going to be some things that definitely Conner Prairie is going to get out of hosting our event. But I think kind of them going out of their way and opening the park up for the day just to really celebrate the holiday really just shows their unwavering support for us.
So, Chandler, let me ask you this. You're preparing for this event. The one thing you cannot control, of course, is the weather. I know it was hot last year, but you still had a terrific crowd. You can't predict whether it will rain or not. So, how do you prepare with all that in mind?
Yeah, so we kind of just have to have faith at this point. I know if we have thunder or it's really starting to rain, not if it's a little bit, but if it's really storming, we might just have to cancel altogether. I think that will probably be the case. But when looking at the weather, we did try to plan for this, and it's like you said, supposed to rain a little bit, but around 5 to 8, which is when our event happens, it should be fine. So fingers crossed with that. But of course, like you said, we are staying prepared even for the heat because it's supposed to be pretty hot that day too. I think 85, 83 degrees. So, having fans and water and things of that nature, but then just preparing for the rain as well.
So, Mallory, tell me, what all goes into preparing for an event like this by your club?
I feel like a lot goes into this. We have to plan ahead like a lot of months. contacting all the vendors, putting out vendor information, setting up Conner Prairie. I think we just need a lot of community to help. A lot of volunteering and effort and time gets put into Juneteenth, and having a lot of people to help really makes it work at the end of the day.
So tell me, Gianna, how have you been involved in preparing for this? What have you experienced getting ready for your Juneteenth celebration?
I've just for right now I'm mainly a part of like the vendor booths. So what I'm doing is I'm arranging them on the lot, like putting them each in their place. So basically going through all the vendors, making sure like no business is similar to one another. So they're like not next to each other competing. Putting people where they need electricity, where they need water, putting them in that area. And just overall I've just been helping promote it. I know we went to the Democratic Club to help promote our event. So that was fun. And just doing little things like that, trying to get it out to the community and have people show up in that way.
So if you're in charge of vendors, Gianna, tell me what's the response been like to business and nonprofits and other organizations? Have they responded when you ask?
It's been really good response. We usually get around, to Jaden, I don't really know, like around like 70, 80 people, like vendors, I guess, a year. And it's different types of businesses. It's not only Black owned businesses, but it's also white owners as well. And it's just a lot of people wanting to not only obviously promote their business, but also come and celebrate this day and honor the meaning behind this day. And so, yeah, it's just really nice to see everybody want to contribute to this and support us and this day. And yeah, it's been good overall.
It's good to hear that. That's been a good response from the community. Jaden, let me bring you back in because Jaden, I know that people will, walk into the Conner Prairie grounds when they walk in and they look at what you have. Give us an idea of what people will experience when they walk in the gates.
Well, I think obviously the whole festival or the whole kind of celebration is just a giant display of really culture and community. So I think as people walk in, that's definitely some of the first things that they're going to see. The event is open to like any and everybody, all ages, and any, demographic. So we hope, or, we've seen it in past years and we plan for this year also to see all kinds of people. I don't think anybody should feel out of place wanting to come to an event like this. I think even because it does have that kind of racial tie, we put a really big emphasis on inclusivity. And, that's really one of the things that our club stands for. So, as I previously mentioned, everybody's included. They'll see a lot of vendors, as Jenna kind of touched on. We do have a lot of vendors that come out every year. I think we do kind of average around the 65, 70-ish kind of range. But we try to, increase and expand every year. So we kind of just do what we can to blast our event out to as far of a reach as we can, and we really just kind of pull in whatever we get in our net with that. And in addition to that, we've got some things for the kids there. So we have like bounce houses, some kind of cornhole, just field games. So there should be a lot of fun in the air, a good experience in that sense as well. And then we should have some food trucks there as in addition to that. So expect a good variety of different foods and desserts there to have as well.
Yeah, Chandler, talk a little bit. Jaden mentioned this. Talk about this some more because when I was there last year, what I found was an interesting mix of people. It wasn't just people of a certain race. There was a good variety of people who were there. Is that your goal with this event?
Yes, I would say that we do want to include everyone. Like Jaden says, it is an inclusive event. It's a community event, which doesn't just which isn't just us trying to attract a Black audience, but an audience rather for everybody. And I think it is also just representative of the Fishers community as a whole because we don't just get Black people, we get white Americans, brown Americans, Hispanics, we get people from across Indiana and across Fishers. And I think it is quite telling that we do see a lot of people show out for this event and people put it on their calendars. It's really amazing and it truly shows the progress that we have had as a club and also as a Fishers community.
So, Mallory, one thing I noticed right away when I went to the event last year is that the music, you had a great lineup of music. What do we know about the music you'll be offering this year?
Yeah, so sorry. So we are having a variety. We have a variety of different music. I know we're planning to play the Black National Anthem. We have some students from FBL at Fishers that will sing the Black National Anthem. And then we just have a variety of different music just for people to have fun and celebrate and get loose.
So, Gianna, I don't know about you, but I found the music to be a variety. I thought, well, maybe it'll just be jazz or this rhythm and blues. You had a good variety of music there.
Yeah, I know this year we're trying to keep that up. We have some blues type like singing vibes. We also have some kind of like rappers that are gonna come as well. And then we also have singers. We have just like instrument players who just like play their instrument and just like no singing, just different types. And that's what I'm really looking forward to this year for sure.
As I mentioned before, this is the Future Black Leaders Club of Fishers High School sponsoring this. So I want to give each of you a chance to talk a little bit about your club. I'm going to ask Jaden to start because you are the exiting president. You've been the president the past school year. Talk about the club itself and what you do in the community and elsewhere in the school. Talk about the activities and the goals of your club.
Yeah, so I know Future Black Leaders is a club at Fishers High School, and we really just work to create an affinity space for the Black students in our community. But then we also work together as a club to go and affect the communities around us. So it's kind of like a couple of the other ventures that we get into. So we have the Black Leadership Summit that we host every year. The past couple of years, we've held that at Butler University. So it's always been a really big event that gives us a lot of motivation and kind of traction throughout the year. But we bring Black student unions from all across Central Indiana, and we bring them all to Butler University to kind of have a summit for them. And it's just kind of things like that I think that is one of our biggest and best portrayals of what we do as a club is we're really just about that kind of connectivity piece, about reaching out to just the different people in the community. And that's what we're trying to build at the end of the day is just a strong community that's inclusive of everybody that really just goes out and does work in the community. So we are a service club at Fishers. So we have, I think we've tried to have initiatives to have service projects, but we do a lot in a year. So I know in recent years, those might have been a couple few and far between with the actual service projects that we do as a club. But I know that we put together a lot of events that have that same kind of environment of service. And I feel like people get a lot of inspiration out of the work that we do.
So Chandler, you're the communications and social media chair, so your responsibility is to get the word out. How do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so this is actually, I'll be the rising social media chair. But just in promotion for this event, I have been trying to contact different schools. I know we had a lot of schools come to our Black Leadership Summit, so getting in contact with those people and asking them to come show out for our events. I'm also promoting both on Parent Square and then also on our Instagram page. Just things like that, just really trying to promote our club and getting the word out there because we can't attract people if nobody knows who we are. So.
Thank you. And Maui, you're the one of the incoming co-presidents for the club. Talk about how you envision the club continuing in the coming school year.
Yeah, so I think we're going to continue and try to just make the club a space for students to come, talk about their worries, discuss, learn about Black history, and discuss maybe politics, something, their opinions about what's going on, not just around the world, but just in the school community and how Black students feel. We try to create a place for Black students to have a voice and voice their problems, their opinions, and how they feel, and then provide solutions. So I think this upcoming year, we're just going to continue that trend to create that type of space.
So, Gianna, any thoughts as one of the incoming co-presidents for the Future Black Leaders Club at Fishers High School?
Yeah, just what everybody's been saying, just keep that safe space going. I've been a part of the club all 4 years. It's going to be my third year on leadership. And just one thing that I've loved every year is the safe space, like always having some place to go where there's people who look like me, especially in a place where there aren't many. So just keeping that safe space, letting other students that look like me know that like, hey, like you're not alone here, and just being a place where we can all come together, have fun, but also learn and create events like this in the Black Leadership Summit that showcase who we are and what we are.
I want to ask each of you about future plans. Some of you will have more to say about that than others, but I know Jaden will because Jaden has recently graduated, has plans to attend the University of Southern California. So, Jaden, talk about why you chose Southern Cal University and what you plan to study there.
Yeah, so I know for me, kind of California has always been a goal to kind of get out to. So I've always had my dream school's kind of changed a couple of times, but it's stayed around California, and I just end up kind of placing on USC. I'm very grateful and appreciative to be accepted there. So I'm excited for the year that's coming up. But I think, sorry, excuse me. I think one of the big things that people should get out of my kind of future plans is that a lot of it, and I think a lot of the reason why I got accepted is because of the work that I've been able to do through Future Black Leaders. I know that this club has really given me an opportunity to showcase my leadership. I've feel like, everybody kind of has those tendencies, and, either if it's in one, activity or another, everybody's a leader in something. And I think that this was a club that really showed me what I was good at leading at, and furthermore helped me gain opportunities to showcase that leadership. And I think through that, I've really been able to build up a good resume for myself. But it's through kind of events like this that I've been able to kind of make it out there. So I'm extremely grateful for that. But then in addition to that, I am studying business. So it's pretty similar to the stuff that I do right now, but definitely trying to get a little bit more on the backside of things, and discover the inner workings of just kind of how business works with our society right now. And so I think that I definitely want to take the lessons that I've learned from this club and the experiences that I've had and use that future education to really just amplify that, and to continue to make a difference.
Well, good luck with that, and I'm sure you will not miss our Indiana winters, will you?
Yes, I'm very excited for the weather change. I am ready for some hot weather
Let me go to
and
Chan.
consistent hot weather.
I'm sorry, go ahead, finish up. I didn't.
Yeah, I was just saying consistent hot weather because Indiana, it can be sunny one day and raining and snowing the next. So.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Zoom is that way. There's that little bit of a delay there. Chandler, let me bring you in. You're coming to be a senior in the coming school year. Do you have future plans? If so, share what you can with us.
Yeah, so going into my senior year, I know we're about to start the college application process. So I'm just trying to narrow down my interests in order to determine a major. Right now, I really want to go into the political side of things. So my dream job is to be on CNN. So majoring in political science and mass communications, or I will take the route and go into marketing. I have a couple schools I'm looking at, some being HBCUs, some being PWIs, but ultimately they're all good schools and they all fit into my interests. So I'm really excited to see the pathways I will go when looking in my future.
Always good to see a young person wanting to get into journalism. So thanks. I appreciate that. Maui, you're going to be a junior, so you're not as far along as some of the others. Do you have any thoughts about the future? If so, share that with us.
Specifically for my junior year, I think I'm more focused on just testing SATs and taking classes, doing well in my junior year and having strong grades. In the future, I do want to go into medicine, so I'm trying to hone down on different majors and maybe just start thinking about colleges or something just to get a head start.
Excellent. And Gianna, coming at your rising senior, so tell me what you have in your mind as far as the future.
Yeah, right now, I'm on track, or I want to do pre-med because I want to be a doctor. So I'm just thinking of different majors right now. I'm thinking more like sociology, psychology route for a major, kind of on a pre-med track. And I have like some schools, or I have like like a couple schools that I want. They're all HBCUs, but they're all good, and just yeah, I'm excited.
Well, I want to thank you all for your time. I know how much work goes into putting on an event like this. Once again, just so people are reminded, the Juneteenth event in Fishers is coming up, of course, on June 19th, the Thursday this year at Conner Prairie, 5 until 8 p.m. Everybody is praying and crossing their fingers. The weather will be good, and we hope that it will be. So, Jaden Rucker, Chandler Phillips, Maui Aregbi, and Gianna Fowler, thank you so much for your time. Good luck with your event, and just best of luck with all of your future plans.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.